Hello, everybody. So, raise your hand if you have taken the train for coming to Brussels. Okay, quite a lot of them. That's very good for me or for us when you were in Switzerland. And keep your hand raised if your train was on time. Okay, that's also a good sign for us because then we know that we are working on the right thing. So, very nice for me and for Tibor to be here in the SBB, Swiss Railway Company. We are, as the name said, we are traveling with the trains, with a lot of trains in a very, very small network. So that's quite a challenge to have the punctuality. That's in Switzerland, the punctuality is not so bad, but it's a challenge all the time. And of course, we have a lot of different train units. So that's important for here because then we have a lot of different data basics, and it's quite a fight to have all this digitalized. And because that's not for free, we are challenging different stuff at the moment. That's a very, very huge cost pressure. And because we have a lot of intensive manual work, we looked for a way to improve the cost pressure and to give more efficiency in the working for the maintenance of the train to get, and therefore we started the project with BCG.
Thanks, Hans-Martin. My name is Tibor MÉREY. I'm a managing director and partner at BCGX. Now, you might know Boston Consulting Group as a strategy consulting firm. At BCGX, we have more than 3,500 builders. So data scientists, data engineers, developers, product managers. And I'm originally Swiss, so for me it was actually a double nice project. And I was leading the XR project with SBB. XR project at SBB, what does this mean? What did my builders build together with Hans-Martin and his team? We built three things. We built an application on XR devices, as well as tablets, that allow the worker to access digital information in their everyday work, and we're going to showcase today how this looks like. But we also built the data platform beneath it, allowing to ingest the individual work order from SAP into the worker's view, documenting what is happening and writing it right back into those systems. And the third thing we built is a cockpit for shift leads and managers alike to get real-time, hands-on insights into very manual processes which before were not as transparent as maybe SBB would have liked to do. Now, the overall project that we set out together was centered around 5 key goals. First of all, it was about creating an MVP for an end-to-end XR-optimized process in the topic of modernization. As Hans-Martin said, SBB has a big range of trains that after their end of lifetime get into the depot, get completely taken apart, rebuilt from the ground up in order to extend the lifetime going back onto the network. And we took out that specific use case to say, how can XR help on some of these steps there? The whole project was not defined as an innovation project. It was an efficiency project end to end. So the key goal was to actually showcase, could this technology help with being more efficient? It was also part of a project to actually train not only the first cohort of pilot users, but to actually make this a crucial part of how staff gets onboarded and being used on that process. And from the very outset, it was clear that this should become a lasting capability that SBB is capable of maintaining on their own. Last but not least, while we were really focusing on this specific process at first, this should be part of a broader roadmap, both in terms of scaling within that use case of modernization, but potentially also beyond. So let's have it, what were the core topics that we focused on? What you see here is one of two headsets that made it into the actual usage. In this case, it's a RealWear Arc 2, company called Almer, acquired by RealWear. And it was really about the value for the workers first. How do the workers get better administrative tasks? How can they be hands-free in their work, not having to resort to tablets or to paper lists? And how can we really optimize the workflow in terms of time savings, but also reduce errors? But equally, there were also benefits for management. I mentioned already before, there's improved traceability. There's improved traceability, where do mistakes or, let's say, errors be detected, and also having a better communication going forward. Now, how did this actually translate into the actual feature set we built out? It all starts with integration into, in this case, the Microsoft architecture. The worker authenticates with his or her Microsoft account, which then propagates into SAP and then pulls the individual work order in terms of the actual workflow that the worker has to go through. It then is also a step-by-step guidance throughout the maintenance steps, allowing the worker to not only see what needs to be done, but also contextual information, additional diagrams, additional pictures, additional information, and the ability for managers to also say which step has to be documented in which way. Sometimes it's as easy as a voice command or a button, actually checking off that step, but some steps required even a higher heightened security, for example, taking a picture. All of this is being accessed hands-free over voice, for those who want over buttons as well. And we are already starting to trialing first AI integrations, which puts actually the power of tools like, of ChatGPT into the hands of blue-collar workers. And last but definitely not least, one of the features we also built in that MVP phase was a Teams client that allowed the worker to potentially communicate with another expert or a remote support over video or call. But over to Hans Martin to say what is now being in use and what is maybe already on the roadmap going forward.
When we started with the project, then it was essential that we said, is it worthy to go with this technology? And for this, we also had the vision. With this technology, we can do a lot of stuff we don't do at the moment. And that's what you see here on the right side, future opportunities, improvement, that we know we would like to go there, but we cannot do now at the moment. So what we have on the glasses and also on the tablets is a checklist. So it's more or less, it's worker guidance. The worker, they receive the information they need for the task they are doing at this moment. It sounds very, very logically, but at the moment, some information they have going to look for, they are paper-based, are they actually, did they change or not? This is the stuff we have at the moment, the things we had the most biggest improvement at the moment. But it's also very important, only for this case, it's not worthy to go with this technology. So therefore, we should have this vision for other use cases in the future, and to have the persuasion that it will come, and we have to start with the digitalization. So it's a project of digitalization, the working process in the shop floor. And I think it's very, very worthy that we have also this technology marketing with XR, that we know with this kind of technology we can do not only normal digitalization as we do and we speak a lot of, but we have now new tools for the laborers in the shop floor and on the site that they can use and feel the improvement immediately.
So we heard from Hans Martin that this is not only a pilot. This is something ongoing on the shop floor of SBB. So what was really the success criteria behind it? The success criteria was that we did 3 things at the same time. First of all, we really focused on a functional MVP. So not a pilot, not a POC, an MVP along all dimensions of operationalization. As I mentioned, fully integrated into the core architecture with Microsoft, with SAP, run on SBB infrastructure, but also deeply integrated into the processes. I think we had more than 15 or 16 dimensions of operationalization, from the health and safety, from even classifying the glasses as a tool, which is also quite important in the shop floor settings. Really thinking through all these steps already at the MVP stage, because that will give you the buy-in that actually people will sign also the business case going forward. The business case was the second key element. All of this was grounded from the very first day in a business case. First starting, let's say, pretty much top down, taking experiences we brought from other clients and what we have seen in the industry, applying to the specific use case at SBB, but then validating this in different stages of the project with actual real data from the shop floor. And the business case is really the one thing that propelled this throughout the initial phase, but also even now going forward. And the third thing is that from the very beginning, we were treating this as a capability. This means it was also crucial that our role was not a vendor or a license where this is a black box and there's a subscription fee, but this is a capability that has been built within the context of SBB, together also with their IT department, their technical experts, their shop floor experts, which really now allows them to continuously scale and improve on top of that. But let's hear it maybe very briefly also from the responsible board member, as well as give you a bit more impression on how it looks like in the short video.
Sind in der Instandhaltung unserer Züge unter enormem Druck. Zum einen haben wir einen großen Kostendruck. Wir müssen bis 2030 rund 6 Milliarden Schweizer Franken einsparen. Zum anderen braucht es eine sehr hohe Zuverlässigkeit, dass wir draußen eben auch pünktlich produzieren können.
To meet these challenges, BCG and BCGX helped SBB adopt AI-powered extended reality, or XR, across its maintenance process.
We built a lasting capability for SBB, integrating this into their architecture and allowing them to continuously add features and improve. But even with the use case we implemented first, the results were significant. Experienced workers were more than 20% more efficient, and inexperienced ones even 29%. Going forward, SBB can now add even more features, transforming themselves even more into a digital company.
So Hans-Martin, as you reflect a bit on where you stand, and you will also talk a bit about where this is going, what are some of the key learnings that you are taking away for currently?
So I think the key figures were, first of all, that we do it together. So that we do it together with the management, with the financial department, with the people from the shop floor and from the technique. So also before this project, we had some XR POCs, some different XR POCs. So it's not the first time that we heard from this technology. And also inside the company, when it was announced that we do a project with BCG, now with XR, so there were some voices, we don't need this, it's too expensive, let's do it alone. But I think here BCG was this boosting consulting group. And that's honestly, I think this was one of the key success factors for this project, that an outsider brought all these things together, that we can work together, that we had this vision, and that we also build a business case that we believe and that we have as goal to go further with this project. And yes, we are talking from XR. And also in the project, there were some voices from the shop floor. We don't want to have glasses on our head when we are working. And especially, we know what we do. We don't need this worker guidance. Therefore, we showed them what's the idea, why it helps in the shop floor. But we also said, okay, so let's use also the notebooks at the moment we already had on the shop floor, that they don't have a new tool. So the adaptation to the digitalization has begun. Let's do it with the tools they are most useful at the moment for the workers, for the users. And at the beginning, I think we had a lot of discussion about this. I'm very, very happy that we did this. We have at the moment both glasses and notebooks. I'm I'm sure that some use cases in the future will also only work with the glasses. But when we say for the use cases we have, users, you have to use the glasses, and I think that's not worthy about, then we lose them. So therefore, that was another key factors. So talk together and adopt the right solutions, the right steps at the moment. And of course, this data enables, at the beginning we were talking, is it worth it to start? Because we know we don't have the best database. So let's work on the database firstly before we do the digitalization. I'm very, very glad that we don't that we started, because now we have better we know better what requirements we have to the database, because we started with the projects. And of course, as you mentioned before, also our skills inside the company were yes, we learned a lot of doing the process methods, but also working together. And I think that's the key factor that we can work now in phase 2 and 3 after the project. Should I go on?
Speaking of phase 2 and 3, do you want to give a bit of a status, like which phases we underwent and where you stand now?
Yeah, we started phase 1 was called phase. Yeah, it was called phase 1 because the project started. It was 14 weeks, so 7 sprints, 2 weeks, 14 weeks. And in this phase, we had to improve together with BCG that it's worthy to go with this technology further on. So we have a business case that we see that's the potential in the future. Then we have a use case, and for this use case we built the MVP. It's a little bit more than a POC. It's the MVP. It's very important that we talk about, because this MVP was so. One part of this minimal product was to be inside the SBB infrastructure, so that we had a little party when we had this SAP Durchstich, I don't know, so that we were inside the SAP. So it didn't mean that we all had all the database and all the database inside the SAP. It was only that the end user was named also through the SBB, so that it was not an anonymous user, but that it's a named user. I don't know the right expression. And that's very, very important when you do safety controlling stuff, because then you know exactly who has done this checking. And so therefore, this was a very important thing. And of course, after that we had also defined the measurement. How can we measure the success we speak about? How can we measure it with neutral? Because as BCG and also me as a project leader, we had a lot of interest that we have very big success, but unfortunately nobody will believe us. So we did this with our inside time measurement department.
And if you know, nobody takes timekeeping as seriously as the Swiss.
Thank you very much. But it was very, very important for the next step that the figure were believed and that we have trustful figures. And then I remember it was end of January. Then the management decided, okay, let's go on with this. Another part, another for me very important part, I knew when the management decide we go further on, sooner or later I will be alone without BCG. So that was for me not only an easy part because there you have a lot of power, you have a lot of resources inside behind, and then we're alone with our small team. And one important thing in part one and for the business case was, okay, when we go further, then we calculate this with a minimal team of plus minus 10 to 15 people. Because when you're too less, you will die sooner or later. And that was the most important one for phase 2. After this decision, we need time to how do you say, to recruit all these people, to build this team up. And this was very important that we had also the support from BCG in a smaller level. I guess it was 2 or 3 people more or less, sometimes a little bit more. That we don't lose the power, and then we could have take time for staffing and so on. And since June, we're alone, and I'm still here, and I'm still happy. Yes, but without this phase 2, with the support of this phase 2, perhaps I wouldn't have some more gray hairs, of course.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you're also still here and that we get to share some of the learnings. And speaking of learnings, as you have heard from the video, in that very first MVP phase, the big unlock was that time measurement. And we could showcase that on the specific use case, we could see that experienced workers were 20% more efficient and inexperienced ones even up to 29%. And that gave then a very big confidence that the business case also has a short payback period within less than a year. And as Hans Martin said, the difference between a POC and the MVP is that we got to full usability and full usage even after 14 weeks because of the integration into SAP and the operationalization dimensions. So this is now a really capability that is ongoing. I think obviously still a lot of learnings happening, but all of us know in this industry that's part of it. And let me leave you with, let's say, the very last secret sauce that we deployed in order to make this happen, which was in the end that we are really one team. Although they still gave us only the yellow vests to BCG, we were always feeling like wearing orange as well. And up until now, it's great to stay in touch, to work together, and be able to present here today. Thank you very much.